want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe's going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert and all of a sudden bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to Bulls vs. Blazers. You can find us as always on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere else you find podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, do all the stuff you're supposed to do with a podcast. I am Sean Highkin. With me as always, Erik Gundersen. Now, Erik, I need to ask you for some input on something I've been thinking about the last week or so. There's been a trend online that I don't know if I'm on board with, but it's a situation that I've been monitoring, and I feel like there's some NBA adjacency potential for it.
Okay.
This concept of the white boy summer. Have you been seeing
I
this?
have. Chet Hanks is in my timeline. I'm very, very much aware of white boy summer as a concept. I'm also very aware of some problematic execution in the labeling of white boy summer, particularly
the fact that it's called white boy summer.
And also the choice of the goth, the really edgy, the really kind of Nazi-ish font.
Oh, I haven't even seen the merch.
There was some merch where the font was a little aggressive.
Oh yeah, that's not.
And
that's
it could have been a little bit softer for white boy summer, and it was
especially because it seems like the intent behind it is positive.
Right.
It seems like it's trying to be I saw an IG story from him where he had a DM from some dude who was like, "Hey, I'm Asian. Can I participate in White Boy Summer?" And he was like, "Hell yeah, White Boy Summer's for everybody." So I'm for that. I'm also for.
There's a good energy about it.
I like that one of his ground rules that he put down, and because this is the kind of thing when it's a rich son of a famous actor who's a white dude with tattoos who's a white rapper of some sort, you would think that it would be Barstool adjacent, right? But one of his ground rules that he laid down, because he put out
is it the smoke show one?
Yeah, it's referring to women as smoke shows, which that's good. Barstool's entire model. So is that so that's a rejection of a lot of the people that you and I both probably went to college with who would have gotten way too into it being a white boy summer.
Yes, totally. He's rejecting the extremists out there that want to hijack white boy summer into something that is hateful, exclusionary.
It's a spiritual thing.
Yeah, it's a spiritual thing.
It's how we used to say that Saturdays are for the boys, but they're also for the girls and the non-binary individuals. White boy summer is, and I will say with the merch stuff, I have not looked at the merch, but I feel like buying white boy summer merch would age about as well as remember in 2015 when people bought the DJ Khaled slides that said bless up or whatever.
It would age about as well as the time that I bought a Money Manziel shirt at the Nike store.
Oh no, that's rough.
Part of me almost wishes I had it and I had kept it for irony's sake, but I donated it a long time ago.
But he got into some kind of not great stuff off the field though, so that's not really something you'd want to be repping necessarily.
No, exactly. And that's really where I was I kind of gotta get rid of this shirt. But I bought it. I spent 25 or 30, I think, American dollars on a Money Manziel Nike shirt. That is just that's just toast.
So I've been thinking about which NBA players are going to have the strongest white boy summers.
Okay.
I mean, I think obviously Tyler Hero is kind of the platonic ideal of the white boy summer mentality.
Jokic.
Oh, for sure.
Jokic, I think, actually is the number one candidate to have a white boy summer. Let's be real. Of any player that has a chance to win a championship, he has the best, and he's the only white guy that really has a chance to win the championship. Let's be real. Like, I mean, Joe Harris, Joe Harris would be having a white boy summer, but if the Nets win, it's not going to be because of Joe Harris. And it's like, so
I will say, it is pretty funny how in the last week, I don't think we've recorded since Blake and LaMarcus both signed with Brooklyn.
No, because I was too gassed. Like, I just had too many things going on that week when we were at the Vibe Summit, the Nets Blazers game. That was before LaMarcus signed, but we didn't get to see Blake.
Yeah.
And Blake, I thought, looked okay. They had him on a minutes restriction, but I thought he looked athletic. He had that one kind of like bulldozing, like duck in that he does where he runs the court faster than everybody else, which is something he hasn't been doing a lot. And so he looked good there. And then LaMarcus tonight against the Hornets, LaMarcus just looked like vintage LaMarcus again, and was just like, this is also part of the reason why I was pissed that the fucking Nets got him, man. Like, I was just pissed. Like, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I just knew that this was going to happen, man. Like, I just knew it, dude. Like,
see, I'm not with you on this. I think that, I mean, he looked really good tonight, but the point that I was going to make was that we've seen all of this, hand-wringing this week about, oh my God, it's so unfair that the Nets got LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. Their fourth best player is still Joe Harris.
Sure. Joe Harris is
they're
still,
not gonna, if they win a championship, it's not going to be because they signed Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge on the buyout market. And I was actually thinking about this, because, like, obviously now this week, the whole buyout thing is becoming a thing. Like, Woj had the story today or yesterday about how league executives from small markets are concerned about the good teams just getting these guys and whatever. I am trying to think of the buyout guys that actually were the difference between a team winning a title and not winning a title.
Well, I don't think that that's a fair bar. Like, I think the bar should be, did this guy make an impact on a team in the postseason? I feel like that's a way more fair bar to be like, oh, I mean, okay, Markieff Morris, you could make that distinction, but
for sure.
Even the year before, Cantor, the Blazers didn't win the championship, but Cantor being a buyout signing saved their bacon because.
So here's the list. In the last, like, let's say post, because the oldest one that I can think of that people have pointed out to me was the Celtics picking up PJ Brown in 2008. And then he hit that shot in Game 7 of the Cleveland series in the Eastern Finals.
Right.
So starting from then, I've got San Antonio picking up Boris Diaw after he gets bought out from Charlotte.
Yeah, that became like that was an impact move. Ended up being an impact move like a year later.
Right, because they picked him up in 2012, but then they made the finals in 2013. But, like, it was still like a buyout guy that went from the worst team, literally the worst team in NBA history, that 2012 Charlotte team. And then it looked like he was totally washed, and then went to San Antonio and was like a huge part of their title team a couple years later.
He was key. So yes, he belongs in that list. Yes.
And then Birdman, when Miami picked him up, was huge.
Yeah. That was, he was major for them. Like, he gave them so much energy off the bench. He had an instant connection with LeBron. Like, it was perfect.
And then I've got Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova a couple years ago with the Sixers.
Yes, those were good pickups. I'm trying to think of.
Then I've got Markieff Morris last year, Enes Kanter the year before. I know Portland, again, didn't win the title, but, like, most of the time when these guys go, from the buyout, usually these guys get, like, but what do all of those guys have in common? When it's PJ Brown, Enes Kanter, Birdman, Boris Diaw, Markieff Morris. None of those guys are, like, even at their peaks, none of those guys were all-stars. Those guys were all role players. Usually with the guys that are, like, multiple-time all-stars or guys whose careers have the pedigree of, a LaMarcus Aldridge or a Blake Griffin. Those guys don't get bought out unless they really just don't have that much left. A lot of times it's more like when, the Warriors signed DeMarcus Cousins. I know this was a buyout thing, but remember when the Warriors signed DeMarcus Cousins and everybody was like, oh my God, this is so unfair. The Warriors have 5 all-stars now. And then DeMarcus didn't really make an impact because he was coming back from the injury. Or when the Cavs in 2017 or 18 or whatever. Whichever one of the.
I mean, like the Raptors signed Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin didn't play on their
right, exactly,
team.
and that was like a
that,
big name. But like,
yeah,
but like, remember, like whatever one of those two post-title LeBron Cavs years, they signed Darren Williams, and he was just washed, and he didn't do anything.
The thing is, no, okay, he was washed, but he like started for them, like
right, but like
that. I mean, he did play a lot,
right? But he wasn't
the
good.
Finals.
He wasn't good.
Yes, I agree with that. But like these guys do end up often playing roles. I'm hand-wringing about the hand-wringing about the hand-wringing. Like I like there is a certain like I get that, but there also is nothing else to talk about. Like, what else are we fucking talking about? The games have been ass. Let's be fucking real. Everyone's watching the fucking tournament.
I'm not watching the tournament.
Well, okay, I am. And most people who watch basketball are watching the fucking tournament. All these games have been terrible. Let's be real. These games in the NBA, there have been not even the close ones, honestly, have not been very good. No one's trying right now because everyone's just trying to get to the postseason. And it's like the only thing to talk about is the buyout market because that actually might have an effect on the postseason, which is like that's what we're waiting on. Like LeBron is hurt. Anthony Davis is hurt. Now James Harden's hurt. Like I mean, we're over here banging the drum for Dame as the MVP and how great Dame is, and that is something that is awesome. And Jokic as well is definitely like, he's the front runner for MVP right now, and he had some big plays tonight down the stretch, and the Nuggets look really good. But like that's unfortunately, it's not really captivating anybody, and it's like I don't know, like the thing that is getting people to talk is the buyout market, and like I don't think that that's bad. Because we're waiting now for things to really count. Like that, and everyone is. So like, I just think the grandstanding about like, why do people care about the buyout market is like, it feels like, do we want people to care about the NBA or do we not?
I just think the arguments about it, it's just one of those things where like, just like with a lot of this other stuff, the arguments on both sides are just kind of, because there's the people who are like, oh man, it's so unfair that the Nets are getting these two guys who are way past their primes and are probably not going to be the difference between them winning a title and not winning a title. And then on the other side, it's like, anybody who doesn't like this is an idiot. And I'm just like, it's fine. Like these guys usually don't make an impact. Sometimes they do. Like that's cool. Like.
Yeah, and it is also like the accumulation of all-star appearances that gets the eyes popping for people about the Nets. It's that like
you can put that on a clutch points graph.
Exactly, which people did. And it's like you can aggregate all the total all-star appearances between the team, and you can be like, there's 70 all-star appearances or whatever the fuck it is with the Nets. And it's like that it will get people's eye because usually that many all-star appearances do not aggregate on the same team. No matter what we might think or what appraisers of their value might think about LaMarcus and Blake Griffin, those guys are great players and were great players and have had great careers. And I think that is a lot of what people reacted to with the Nets is like, these are all guys that are just have had monster careers that are all on the same team. And it's like, wow. And it is Kevin Durant doing it again. And it's like that I'm sorry, like that stuff matters. Like I'm not like, yes, everyone can be like, well, there's just big names and names. And that's all it is. Well, it's like, okay, yes, it's names, but it's also like guys that have delivered. And like that counts for something in people's minds, especially for people that don't watch League Pass every night. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it got people to talk, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. And listen, I mean, LaMarcus looked great tonight.
He did. And I mean, the thing that worries me though is, let's say, it gets to the playoffs and these, maybe what we saw tonight from LaMarcus is like the best we're going to get out of it. And maybe it's not.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
I'm worried, and my buddy Seth Partnow from The Athletic has made this point that, and I think he kind of saw this up close when he worked for the Bucks that year that they signed Pau Gasol and Kyle Korver like on the buyout market, and they were both just totally washed. And Bud just kept playing them because they're veterans. Like, a lot of times these coaches, when you give them a guy like that who is a name and has a track record, they're going to play them because they feel like they know what to do, even if maybe the smarter thing would be to play our boy, the young alchemist, Nick Claxton, some of those minutes.
True. I mean, and also here's the other aspect that I brought up with you is that how does this go with the Vibes Council? Because
the vibes for the Nets are terrible.
Because listen, we made fun of DeAndre being a part of the Vibes Council, but he's a foundational member of the Vibes Council, and it was part of the package of guys to come to Brooklyn.
He's the Vibes concierge. He made the whole thing happen.
Exactly. So KD, like, doing almost like very much like almost like Fredo-esque move for those who've seen The Godfather, like going outside the family to deal with this thing, like going against the family, so to speak, and going against DeAndre. Like, I do wonder about the karmic impacts and the vibe impacts that could have on the locker room moving forward. I'm not like LaMarcus in a vacuum and in general is just, he's a way better player than DeAndre Jordan has ever been. That's not even a debate. But what I am saying is I do wonder if Durant violated a key tenant and a key fixture of the Vibes Council that could, rot the Vibes Council from within, is one story that I'm wondering about the Nets. Well, like, yes, LaMarcus looked great, and like, yeah, but like, is DeAndre going to be like super supportive the whole time? Like, is this or is that going to blow up? Like, I don't know.
The vibes are all the way off with Brooklyn right now. Between that, there's
well, yeah, KD and the KD non-apology apology.
For the Rapaport stuff. Yeah. Well, like, first of all, I mean, there's so many levels. That was one of those, and even before like his what he said today, like when I saw those DMs that leaked between him and Michael Rapaport, that was just a classic Twitter fight that everybody loses. Nobody comes away from that looking good because obviously, the stuff that Durant said was like problematic and homophobic, and it was also just exactly what I would expect from Michael Rapaport, who's always been kind of, looking for attention and just, a clout chaser. And if you're Kevin Durant, like, I understand that Kevin Durant is unapologetically too online and like he's defiant about it, and I respect that about him, but like, aim higher. Like, either pick a fight with like an actual celebrity who matters, or go at like a 12-year-old randomly in your Instagram DMs. Don't you don't need to be fighting with Michael Rapaport. Like, pick one extreme or the other.
Yeah. The Rapaport thing, and it's like, it is like, I mean, Rapaport occupies a very weird space in the culture because like he does all this NBA stuff, and then he also is
he's the official MC of the Big Three. Kevin Durant might jeopardize his post-playing career Big Three.
He's also like a frequent guest on like Bravo TV shows to talk about the Real Housewives. And this is like him posting
former Barstool host, and then he fell out with Portnoy over money.
Him posting these was straight out of the Real Housewives playbook, Rapaport. So he definitely has been watching a lot of Real Housewives, as he always does. But what I'm saying is that it was a fight that everybody loses. It was just big loser energy all over the place on both sides. And it was not anything that it added to more bad vibes for the Nets. And on top of the fact that James Harden has a tight hammy right now, that is also making the vibes really bad. I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything serious, just judging by the fact that James Harden never misses games. And it's really rare for him to miss games. I don't think he's going to be out for very long. But, I mean, I guess KD...
We thought Durant had a, mild hamstring injury, and he's missed basically 2 months. Those hamstring things are not... And I realize for Durant, it's a little bit of a different situation because he had an Achilles that he's coming off of, and so they have to be extra careful with it. But with Harden, I mean, I know he hasn't had a serious injury like that, but that dude plays a lot of games. He plays a lot of minutes. Like, he's had a lot of mileage on him.
And he's playing like, listen, I'm not like, he's been playing a lot of physical, a lot more defense lately with the Nets. I mean, he, like let's be real. Like,
he's trying now that he's on the team he wants to be on.
Yeah, he's trying. He's crashing the boards. He's getting physical and banging with dudes in the air for rebounds. And I mean, he's been going hard for the past few months, and it is. I mean, they're fine. I mean, they're chugging along. I mean, they have a half game lead over the Sixers, but that could be gone any day. And the Bucks, I think, even though they had struggled going into last night's game against the Lakers, I do think the Bucks could also potentially, end up as the 1 seed. I mean, there's enough games left in the season at this point. The Bucks have played 50 or 47 games. So it's not like it, and there's 73 in the season. So it's not like it'd be crazy for them to make up a 3-game deficit right now. I mean, the Bucks, I think, are definitely still in it. I do think it's a really interesting time in the season, though, because so many teams are hurt, and at the same time, almost everybody can talk themselves into thinking they have a chance to make the playoffs. So so teams are in this weird limbo of like, this is the second season of a season of, that has been way too long with like no break, but also it's like a lot of these teams have a chance to like maybe make the postseason, like Sacramento or like the Bulls,
Dude, Oklahoma City's only 3 games out of the play-in.
That's wild.
It's only throughout the whole league, it's really only. And I mean, even looking at the East,
the East is kind of not that. Detroit is out.
It's just Detroit in the East, and then Houston and Minnesota in the West are the only teams that are completely out of it. Everybody is
having seen. Okay, but I'm going to say, having seen the Cavs lately, I'm going to go ahead and say that they're out.
I'm also going to go ahead and say Orlando's out because they're trying.
Even though I gotta say, I kind of like them.
Like, I like the Cavs too. We're the pro JD Bickerstaff agenda.
No. I'm talking about Orlando.
Oh, really?
I watched them against Portland, and I watched them against the Lakers, and like Chuma Okeke is getting an opportunity, and he's getting up a bunch of shots, and I think he's kind of cool. And I mean, they don't really have a lot of guys, but like Kem Birch is getting an opportunity to like play a lot of minutes and take shots, and I don't know. They won 2 straight, and they beat the Pelicans tonight. I mean, Steve Clifford he's a hard ass, and he will coach these guys up. I mean, like, it is a brand new team, and maybe I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I have actually really enjoyed watching some of Orlando because it really is like Cleveland. It has been hurt. And it's basically the same team. Like Orlando truly is, after getting rid of all those guys, the Magic are a completely new team now.
Yeah, and their 2 best players now who are left, Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac, are both on the shelf for the season. So you can't even really look at anything about this season and be like, oh yeah, this is something they're going to build on. And like some of the even some of the guys that they have that are like Cole Anthony has had injuries who they drafted this year.
I mean, he's not playing at all.
No,
like, I think he's out for the season. But I'm Chuma. I'm in. Like, listen, I'm buying Chuma stock. Like,
does he have a top shot yet?
No, I don't think Chuma has a top shot, but I am quite enjoying the Chuma experience. I mean, God, they beat the Clippers. I missed that one.
Yeah, that's a tough scene.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, they have a lot of also like Mo Bamba's getting a chance to actually play now because they have to see what they have there.
I like that.
Yeah, and then Chuma had a great game against the Clippers. 18 points, 7 of 11 from the field. Let's see what he had tonight against the Pellies because they got another W. I think I saw RJ Hampton tweeting like something like everybody eats or some shit like that, which is like that. Like I wonder, like I don't know why they. I mean, it's just like. Let's see. Wendell Carter had 21 and 12 off the bench tonight in the overtime W.
I like that.
Against the Pels. Terrence Ross, 19 off the bench. The bench has been killing it for them. And then Chuma, let's see, what did Chuma have? Chuma only had 8 points, 3 of 9, but he had 10 boards, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Dwayne Bacon's also another guy who's been getting a ton of run and a lot of field goal attempts, and he had 14 points tonight. But Chasen Randall, a guy who's been like bouncing around the league in Europe and shit like that. I remember
he was in Oklahoma City for a minute, right?
Yeah, I remember watching him when he was on Stanford back in the day, because I think he was on Stanford when we were in college, and he's their starting point guard now, like in like the Shelvin Mack role, I guess. But it's I don't know. The Magic are kind of like, it's just kind of fun seeing a bunch of new guys in a new role. Like, I think that's, I guess, the exciting thing about the Magic is that, like, is that part about it. Because it seems like all the teams really now, all across the league are they're kind of, most of them are like Denver tonight. I mean, them breaking in Aaron Gordon is pretty entertaining.
Yeah, he's been awesome for them. I think that's, at least as far as the agenda is concerned, that's like not great. Not great for us. I do have to give us credit for one thing about the agenda. One major victory for the agenda.
Uh-huh.
And I know this runs counter to you staking out your claim since the offseason as being anti-Hawks. But the NBA, today is April 1st. The NBA announced their monthly award winners for, Player of the Month, Rookie of the Month, Coach of the Month via email and via the now public NBA PR Twitter account.
Right.
So a lot more people now are going to be able to do the grift and pretend they broke the news of who won Player of the Week or whatever. Right. But Coach of the Month for the Eastern Conference of the 24-24 Atlanta Hawks, with a better record than the Indiana Pacers, by the way, is Nate McMillan.
Oh my God. Hell yeah. We love to see it.
And they beat San Antonio tonight.
Listen, it's a convergence of agendas, and I stand Nate McMillan as a coach still. Like, I mean, all his teams do is win games most of the time. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, that's just it. Like, that's the Nate McMillan thing.
All they do is win most of the time. That's the Nate McMillan story.
Yeah, it's T-Pain. Well, all they do is win most of the time. That's the Nate McMillan song, dude. Like, I mean, they do. I mean,
do you think Nate McMillan has like ever heard a T-Pain song? Like, what do you think he would think of it?
I mean, I think he has, but he probably has heard it in the context of like, oh man, the guys are listening to that Win song. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I would see it. Like, it's like he'd just be like a dad about it. Be like, oh yeah, they're listening to that Win song again. Like I'm sure back in like 2008, the Blazers were playing All I Do Is Win. You know what I mean? Like,
but you don't remember that. I don't think that's what they were listening to necessarily. I remember there was a Canzano column in 2008 about all of the Blazers going. This was like right around the time that, like, it was just getting out of the jail Blazers years, and it was like early Roy Aldridge, like that whole team. And a bunch of Blazers players, it was like Brandon Roy and Channing Frye and Jarrett Jack, and I think Greg Oden might have gone. But a bunch of Blazers players went to this Lupe Fiasco concert at the Roseland that I also went to. This was our senior year of high school.
Oh my God.
And Canzano wrote a column about how Lupe Fiasco is a classy rapper who doesn't rap about drugs and guns, and the Blazers going to his concert is a sign of this team's growth and evolution.
Oh my God.
So I don't think the Blazers were really listening to like a lot of T-Pain. I think the Lupe Fiasco, like that, like conscious rap was a little bit more their vibe in 2008.
Talib Kweli.
Kweli, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Channing Frye definitely seems like a Lupe Fiasco. I mean, I love Lupe Fiasco. I mean,
I haven't listened to anything he's done. He had that. Well, his first two albums were great.
He had hits, dog. Like
he had a run. That Food and Liquor album was good. The Cool album was good. That was when I saw him at the Roseland. The first time I saw him,
Lupe's good, man. Like, I'm not here to disrespect Lupe Fiasco.
Oh no,
it's just it's just like unfortunate that also like that's just like a misrepresentation of what Lupe Fiasco like even the best Lupe Fiasco like so much of Lupe Fiasco's songs are also about like some of that shit, and it's like,
Right.
but it's like trying to be like it's just music. It's like not like anything like.
Well, right, but you can see how that column could have come to be written in 2008.
Oh, totally. He just heard Kick Push Coast and was like, "Oh, this is so positive." Like,
the first time I ever really heard of Lupe outside of outside of just his verse on "Touch the Sky," I saw Kanye at Bumbershoot in 2006, and this was after Late Registration came out, but it was before Lupe's album came out. And Kanye brought out Lupe to do Kick Push, and then he was like, "Hey, this is my new artist, Lupe Fiasco," and then he did Kick Push, and I Gotcha.
That's tight.
And that was the first time. But yeah, those first two albums were good. I
saw him at I went to the Glow in the Dark tour, and that was when The Cool was the album that he had.
Did you go to the show at the Rose Garden, or did you go in Seattle?
I went to the Rose Garden. Yes.
That show was the night of and the exact same time as my high school graduation at the Coliseum.
You hate to see it.
I really did hate to see it at the
you
time.
Hate to see it because that was absolutely bonkers lineup. Like,
right, it was Kanye,
NERD, Lupe, and Rihanna. And
this was like early Rihanna too, before she was like, you know, I think it was like Umbrella was like the song she had out, so she was like just starting to blow up.
And Ponder Replay,
and
like that was really that Rihanna. And I think she maybe I think it wouldn't. I don't know if it was Disturbia was quite there yet. I think it might have been right before Disturbia or like right when Disturbia came out. I don't remember though exactly. But still.
The last Lupe album I listened to was the one that like the one that was terrible, that had that like the song with Skylar Grey on it. Or like,
yeah, I don't remember.
The one that like like as soon as it came out, he was like, "I hate this album. I only put it out because of like my label wanted."
Oh yeah, I remember it was like Levels or something like that. I remember when it came out. It was like
right.
It was
that was when we were in college. That album was terrible, and like I've heard that his music since then has been pretty good. I just haven't really had any interest in it.
Yeah, no, I haven't like seeked it out, but I know like he's good. Like I'm not gonna sit here like there's a lot of people that are like, well, Lupe Fiasco this and like I'm like, nah, man, like he's good, but like. Wow, we got a real long Lupe.
I gotta listen to those two albums again. Those first two,
those are great. I could listen to those two all the time. I mean, Daydream. I think Jill Scott actually may have been there to sing her portion of Daydream, which was like insane. Like and like that was an incredible show. And
did you go to the Roseland show in 2008?
No, I did not. I only went to the Glow in the Dark tour, and like it was funny too because like. The Roots showed up to the concert in the crowd. Like they didn't go on stage.
What were they doing in Portland?
They apparently had a show. I remember this now. It's all coming back to me because my friend that I was at the show with was going to the Roots show the next night in Eugene.
Oh, they must. Okay, so they're playing in Eugene. They didn't play in Portland because I saw the Roots a couple of times in high school, but I don't remember them being here around that time.
No. So they weren't, but they were in Eugene. They were going to a show in Eugene, and it was the next night, and they were like, I saw Questlove in the crowd, like in the back, like they were on like this, like I think it was like the VIP or whatever, but like so like they just like stopped to check out the Glow in the Dark tour on their night, you know, and they probably stayed in Portland before they went down to Eugene the night before, you know. Because there's no need to like get off the plane and drive 2 hours just to go to Eugene to stay in a worse hotel.
Yeah, I don't think whatever flight they were flying in was like really trying to land at the Eugene airport.
Right, exactly. But that's a little wrinkle about the Glow in the Dark tour that I had just remembered was that the Roots were there.
I'm very mad that show happened at the exact same time as my graduation. I wanted to go to the show. My parents wouldn't let me go to the show. My parents made me go to my graduation.
They did the right thing.
I mean, I guess in retrospect,
but they did the right thing. Like,
if it was up to me, I absolutely would have gone to the Kanye show.
I get it, and it was really an iconic Kanye show because like he had like a moment, and I remember that night, and he was on the microphone. And I remember him yelling. He goes, "I have fucking problems."
So, do you think that was the beginning? Because this was like right after his mom died.
Yeah, he was like yelling
like within a year.
Yeah, and it was like I have fucking problems. I remember him yelling that, and like and he was talking about the media. He was talking about how the media was already wearing on him and all this shit. And and Good Life was like the song that you would play over and over and over again at this tour, because I think T-Pain had been on it earlier, but they played Good Life like it was, the first Paris.
Was it like how we played
Paris.
Like how we played Paris like 5 times at this show?
Yes,
that we saw.
Yes, exactly. It was exactly like that. Except he did Good Life like that many times in a row.
My high school graduation's theme was "Welcome to the Good Life."
Well, I mean,
and our senior class president gave a speech talking about how now that we've graduated, we can be welcomed to the good life.
Oh wow, that's terrible. I mean, props to them for recognizing how important that song was for the moment. However, making it the theme of the speech maybe was not.
I don't remember what the other choices were, but I feel like it was the best option out of the options.
Yeah, well, hey, is anything with T-Pain, we support, and I support.
I really hope T-Pain never gets canceled.
I know,
It's been very rough for me these last, couple of months since we found out about those allegations against Soulja Boy. I've had to rethink the last 15 years of my life, basically.
I mean,
so if T-Pain, if anything bad ever comes out about T-Pain, I don't know if I'll be able to deal with that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I do think that there is a. Perhaps, I mean, there should be. I do think there is a lot more momentum building around T-Pain respect.
Oh, for sure. I think the thing that started that was when he did the NPR Tiny Desk concert.
Ugh.
And everybody was like, "Oh my god,
I did not realize sing.
T-Pain can actually sing without autotune." Which, I mean, yeah, anybody who was paying, even back in 2008, he could sing without. I remember he
was on Jay Leno.
The Buy You a Drink performance where he was singing without autotune. Yeah, and it was good.
Yeah, he was great. He did Jay Leno without autotune. I was like, and he did these ad libs on the song that were different than the studio version. And it was like, oh, this guy's amazing. It's why do people not get it? And it's
I saw him when I lived in Chicago. I saw him. Me and Wilms went to see him at this 500 capacity club called the Double Door. That's this punk and metal club. Normally, I believe it's now closed. But it was a 500 capacity show, and it was just T-Pain with a live band for 2 hours, just playing all the hits. It was incredible.
God, I'm so upset. I'm so upset that I didn't get that tour. You could be upset about your high school graduation. I'm upset that I didn't get to see T-Pain with a live band, because that sounds.
Well, you might get to see that again at some point in the future. I feel like T-Pain has a much better chance of doing that show and being good live again than anything Kanye does ever being worth checking out again.
He probably would never do it, because I don't think T-Pain would ever want to subject himself to this. But I see this in T-Pain's future Vegas residency.
Ooh,
I see T-Pain Vegas residency happening very soon.
The verses that because T-Pain did the verses with Lil Jon, which was cool, but they're kind of in different lanes. The one I wish he had done, I wish we had gotten an Akon T-Pain verses, because those two guys were sort of in the same lane, and they were literally on one or the other of them was on every single song in from 2005 to 2008.
Yeah, they really were they really were occupying the same spaces and competing for the same
features with the same artists. I think Fabulous had songs with both of them around that time, and Plies had songs with both of them.
Yeah, it was. Did they do I'm in Love with a Stripper a remix together? Am I tripping?
No. Akon was on Bartender. That was their collab.
That's right. That was a great song.
Oh yeah,
Bartender's a classic. I love
Bartender's better than Buy You a Drink. That's my hot take,
dude. I wow. Okay, well, I agree. That's a strong take. That's a yeah. The Bartender was great. I mean, that was the other song that I think he played on the Jay Leno performance that is probably lost to the ether. That is probably I don't even.
The Buy You a Drink one's on YouTube.
Okay, but I
watched it 2 months ago.
Bartender, I think, was the other song that he did on that. I think he did 2 songs, because usually
T-Pain sounds like he would be just everything about T-Pain. Just he seemed like he'd be a fun hang.
Yeah, we watched a show about him called T-Pain's School of Business.
Oh, wow.
I think it was on Fuse, and it's basically...
I have not seen this, but this sounds like something Kelsey would watch.
It is very much something Kelsey would watch. And it's basically like him. He's, I guess, really into, like, he's super into video games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he, like, invests in esports teams and and, like, he's, like, very heavy into VR.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I knew this
and augmented reality. And so it's like, the show is basically all about all of those things and him being like an investor type guy, and also just like being like, he like gets to just try, you know, super weird tech stuff as content for the show.
I would enjoy watching that.
Yeah, I think it was on Fuse TV. So I don't know where that is.
Is Fuse TV like still a channel?
I have no idea. But
I don't know what any of these channels even still exist.
We watched it. I think back when we had Comcast cable. Like that's how long we watched it. How long ago we watched it.
Next time we bring Kelsey on, we're gonna do more T-Pain chat.
Oh, definitely. I think we should definitely do more There's always more T-Pain chat. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean,
did you see Draymond today?
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? Are you like? Why? Like
that's just. It's such an unforced error if you're him.
I know.
Like,
it's just like
it's very easy to just not have a take about the women's and men's pay disparity if you're going to have a problematic take about it.
And not have an asshole take about it.
Exactly. Like the only take to have about it is the women should be paid more and they should be, you know, the media should invest more in coverage. Like that's the only take to have. And we don't have to get into, oh, well, they don't drive as much revenue or we don't have to get into that. If you're Draymond, like, actively coming out and saying, oh, these women are doing themselves a disservice by whining about how much. It's like, dude, you have the only way, because I mean, you saw what happened in the college tournament where what's her name on the Ducks put out
Sedona Prince.
Yeah, she put out the video of how bad their weight room was, and then they addressed it. Like the only way to do that is to keep talking about it and complaining about it.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Like,
and if you're Draymond, like, first of all, like. So his original Twitter thread where he was talking about how like I understood how that was taken the way that it was taken. I felt like he had a few valid points in that thread that he made in like the most clumsy way possible. Obviously not entirely, because like some of the stuff I thought was really patronizing and
right.
stuff.
Oh, totally. I mean, and dude, and that's Draymond, dude. Like,
right.
That's how he talks to everybody. Like, if you ever challenge. Like, and this is who he is. Like, and this is part of what makes him great. It's like, and like part of like his, like he's stubborn and like, but like, like it is, but he's also like, he is very smart, but he also thinks that he's smarter than you. Yeah. And like, that has worked before and that works for him on the court a lot, but like, that's how he handles himself a lot with the media, you know, like is coming at it from a place of, I know more than you.
I have a take.
And that's just, I mean, he is very smart. I just think that tact is not very, it just doesn't really get us anywhere.
I have a take about this, about what you just said. That this just came to me. This came to me because my third eye is more open than ever.
Right, because the LASIK. There we go. In fact, the LASIK third eye. So this is third eye that has been recently cleared. Anytime my third eye had been open in the past, was never really open. Now my third eye is truly open because I have LASIK and like I don't have to wear glasses anymore. But Draymond and Kyrie are kind of two sides of the same coin in the sense of they both think they're the smartest guy in the room, but they manifest themselves in different ways. Where like with Kyrie, it's all like, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube about chemtrails, and my third eye is open, and I'm the only one that sees the great conspiracy against everybody. Like I'm like, that's his. And Draymond is like wannabe tech investor who's like, no, man, I'm just telling it like it is. Well, yeah, and oftentimes he is telling the truth. Like he's always great when he's on TNT when he fills in. Yeah, no, and a lot of times he is right. Like it's just like this part is like he does it. He's wrong on this. He's off base on this. He's very wrong on this, and it's like, hey man, like just admit that you don't know as much about women's basketball as all the other people that are talking about it do. Like, and that's okay, but like just stop pretending like you know what's best for women's basketball or that you give a shit about what's best for women's basketball, because you don't. So like just you can just shut up about it. Like, that's the thing, is that he's like, he doesn't have to, like, to quote the man himself, "You are not Kobe." Like, don't start thinking that you need to be the spokesperson for the women's game. They don't love you like that. You're not Kobe, and they're not respecting you like that. And they're like, this is what's happening. Like, I just don't like, it is just so easy for him to not have an opinion on this, and he can't just take the L and be wrong about that Twitter thread. And that's really, I think, where it's coming back from, is that, like, he got backlash on Twitter, and then, like,
Doubled
down on it. And it's like
kind of the opposite of what Durant did with the Rapaport stuff, where he was like, I'm sorry that he didn't say, I'm sorry I said that stuff. He said, I'm sorry that people saw it, which is just like the most cop-out apology. That, like,
yeah, he's basically saying, like, I'm sorry that Rapaport is a snitch bitch, basically. It's like,
which, I mean, in fairness, he's right about that. Rapaport's terrible.
It's true. And
the Tribe Called Quest documentary that Rapaport directed was really good. That's like the only positive thing I've ever had to say about that guy.
Yeah.
Have you seen that doc?
Yeah, I have. It was good. I think he was on a TV show that I watched when I was younger. I think it was Boston Public. Was he on Boston Public? I think it was Boston
I never
Public.
watched that.
Anyway, I was a kid. I wouldn't even say it's good or worth rewatching. But
the Tribe doc is good. That's about, like, the only good thing that in my opinion, that he's been involved in.
Yeah, but that was terrible. Yeah, and like, yeah, and also just, like, I mean, it was noteworthy, and Rapaport is a celebrity, and it did get a lot of coverage, so I get why Durant had to talk about it. It's just like, this is such the classic, like, it's
more just like, what is Durant doing in Michael Rapaport's DMs in the first place? Like,
and this is the type of stuff too that Durant hates, right? Like, when Durant, one of his, like, you know, always his points about the NBA is that, and the coverage of the NBA, is that people don't talk enough about the NBA basketball. And it's like, here you are, like, opening yourself up to a really stupid, like, storyline and a waste of your time and energy making about Michael fucking Rapaport.
It's entirely self-inflicted by him.
Exactly. It's like, bro, like, we wouldn't talk about LaMarcus, or we wouldn't talk about fucking Michael Rapaport if you didn't recruit LaMarcus, and if you didn't also get into a fucking DM fight.
Well, I'm not mad at the LaMarcus talk, because that actually is about basketball.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. But, like, you know, it's not this stuff on the court, and it's the transactional shit. And it's like, the players always find a way, like, especially Durant, he can always find a way to find a problem with NBA media coverage. And so, like, that would be what it would be anyway. But, like, I just think that the Rapaport thing, yeah, it's totally self-inflicted, and again takes away attention from, like, and also just takes away energy from him and wastes his time and annoys him and pisses him off. And it's like, nobody wins, because then we have to ask about it, or not we, but the collective media, like, then people have to ask about it, and then everyone's just wasting time. And it's like, nobody wants this. And it's like, okay, you know. And then, of course, it just comes back to blaming the media at some point. And it's like, well, hey, man, like, maybe just don't get into a fight with Michael Rapaport.
Something else that I thought was funny tonight, I don't know if you were how close of attention you were paying to the TNT show between the two games tonight.
No, not really.
They were talking about they were, like, previewing the Clippers Nuggets game, and they were talking about Rondo's addition. And I mean, I know he hasn't actually played yet because he's dealing with some injury, but, like, he hasn't played yet. But they were talking about, like, the the trade and, you know, what his impact would be. And Dwayne Wade was on there talking about, yeah, I'm a big fan of Rondo. And I was just like, I covered the year that those two were teammates. Dwayne Wade was not a fan of Rondo in 2017.
As the meme goes, lying.
With the
greater than sign.
Well, I don't think those two liked each other, even going back to when,
I mean, like, the Miami Heat days. I mean,
right,
come on.
When, like, the first LeBron year in Miami, when they played each other in the second round, and Rondo basically, like, fouled Wade and, like, tore his, like, elbow.
Yeah, Wade. Like, Wade landed on his elbow. Wade dove for a loose ball and fucked up Rondo's elbow.
Right. It was like those two were involved in something, and then when they were on the same team, I've talked about like the Bulls and the three alphas like all the time, and I was actually just like texting with a couple of like the old Bulls beat writers about Wade saying that tonight, and we were just laughing about how just like Dwayne Wade was definitely not a fan of Rondo when they actually played together. Maybe he's chilled out a little bit now that he's retired, but like I just thought that was funny. I will say the Lakers, not the Lakers, the Clippers losing this game this badly on national TV with a bad Jokic game. And just basically getting embarrassed by another, would-be Western Conference contender is really good for the Rondo agenda.
It definitely is. I mean, you got to give credit to the Nuggets. I mean, they played really well.
Yeah. Aaron Gordon's looked awesome.
Yeah, Gordon is a better fit. I think let's address the elephant in the room with the Blazer fans.
Okay.
Every Blazer fan is pissed, and a lot of are pissed that they didn't get. A lot of Blazer fans, or not every Blazer fan, I'm not going to speak for all of them. I know a lot of Blazer fans are pissed they didn't get Aaron Gordon.
Right.
I
can think of a couple that are.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, you could maybe make the case that like, okay, him playing with Nurkic could maybe be similar to him playing with Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It would not be the same. And I love Nurk. It would not be the same. And I just think it would be it's just a better fit with the Nuggets. And I do think that the addition of Norman Powell, it's not perfect, but like, I don't know.
He's been really good for them. He's done exactly what they brought him in to do. He gives them kind of that transition scoring presence that they haven't really had.
Yeah, and I think it really it would have cost let's see what it would have cost Portland. I mean, it would have cost them Trent. It would have cost them Hood. It would have cost them a first. It would have cost them another young. It probably would have cost them Simons. It would have cost.
I still might have done that.
Gosh, but then just to get Gordon back and then to have no guards behind like Dame and CJ, and then you just have two guards basically. Like
get someone on the buyout market.
Yeah, but then But again, back to if you really want to win a fucking championship, like. Is that like the Nuggets have Campazzo coming off the bench? Like he's great, or he's a really good bench guy. Like I'm just saying, like if they make that trade, Portland's depth is out the window, and it's like, listen, I don't think it's great, but like, I mean, because then you don't have Powell, like, you know what I mean? Like we're not talking about a Blazers team with Powell too. I don't know. Right. I see where Portland.
I think it's fine the way it worked out. But I think also, it is. If that was the price, if that would be the price for Aaron Gordon, I would have done it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have been Simons. Maybe it would have been. I mean, Portland doesn't have a first this year.
That's so the thing if that's what Orlando wanted, I don't think they would have had the pieces to.
Yeah, they don't have a first this year. They gave up another first in the Covington trade, so they would be out 3 firsts. And I don't know if Gordon ultimately would have been the missing piece if they don't have another ball handler. Like having Powell, it also just shows like how amazing it is to have another shot creator on the court who also can play defense and can also shoot off the ball. Like, I mean, he's just a more versatile offensive player, I think, than Gordon is. And like, Gordon is bigger and is a better defensive fit for a lot of the things the Blazers need, but I think ultimately getting Norm Powell it's way less sexy than getting Aaron Gordon, but I do think, especially if you're counting on the health of Nurk and Cantor in the middle and the rest of your team with Derek Jones and Melo, I could see it. I can see why they didn't do it. I mean, it is.
I think it worked out well for everybody. I think he ended up in a great spot in Denver. I think the Blazers ended up with a guy who's maybe a little bit better fit.
I think, yeah, because I think Portland would have been asking Gordon to do a lot of stuff that he is not being asked to do with the Nuggets. Like he had a lot of assists tonight. He played really great defense. I think part of that is because of the team that the Nuggets have is just different and more conducive to him doing that than I think the Blazers would be.
I have Denver 3rd right now in my West title threat rankings. It's healthy Lakers, assuming LeBron and AD are healthy. I think they're still the favorites, and then Phoenix, and then I think I've got Denver. I definitely respect them more than the Clippers or the Jazz.
Yeah,
I need to see the defense be sustainable with Portland before I put them in there.
I mean, it's not going to ever be there. I think Portland. I mean, Portland has. Listen, I just did poo poo them, but like they actually have been playing much better defense the last couple of nights. Like, and they did play. I did want to give them. I mean, they just the game against Brooklyn that we were both at. They didn't lose that game because they didn't play good defense. They lost that game because they didn't make a bunch of outside shots.
Right.
And it's like they shut Harden down for like 4 minutes. Like they played good defense in that game. And like they have shown that they can play it when it matters. Like they're one of the reasons, and Jason Quick did a really good article about this for The Athletic. Like one of the big reasons that they've been good in the clutch has obviously been Dame and his scoring. But in the clutch, they do defend really well, even though their overall defensive rating is one of the worst in NBA history, as odd as that is. But, like, I mean, there is a reason that they've won games. It's not like a fucking, they don't just, like, wave a magic wand. Like, they are finding a way to win these games in tangible ways, and they have defended well. I do think, though, that Denver definitely merits Denver and Phoenix – I think definitely above them. And I still think Utah, I've been shitting on them, but they, they're a really deep team. They shoot the three really well. And I think, but I just don't necessarily think that they're like, I do talk to people a lot of times, like a lot of my gambler friends that are like, well, Utah's just going to fucking roll through everybody just because they've covered the spread, a zillion times this season.
That's overrated, though.
Exactly. That's what I feel like. It's like there are a lot of people that are like, well, Utah just covers the spread every night and they beat teams by double digits and that's all that matters. It's like, well, so did Milwaukee. And it's like that. And it's like, I do think that they have a little bit more juice. And I think like Bogdanovich and Ingles really give them some extra playmaking in addition to their guards that is very, very valuable come the postseason. And I think that's a really, another great reason why Portland got Norm. I am worried a little bit about like Ayton in a series in the postseason. And also, Chris Paul has been great, but, he's also, had some tough playoff exits. And it's not like it's a guarantee that he's going to be, I mean, I trust him, but like, I don't trust the Clippers though. That's for damn sure. I'm like so out, bro. Like,
I'm super out of
Rondo might say Rondo Rondo is whatever the emergency flare on the island when you're trying to get saved. Like they have nothing, man. Like I like Terrence Mann. He's been a nice guy that has come on for them lately. That has played really well, and that's probably been like the best story that they've had as of late. I don't know, man. Like they just watching them offensively tonight was just like, ugh. Like they came in as the number 2 offense in the league, and they laid an egg.
I want to see them with Rondo.
Yeah,
but I'm with you. I haven't really been in on them this whole season. They're the same team that they were last year. They just have a new coach.
And yeah, and listen, and they have a new coach, and they spent a lot more money on their coaching staff. Is the other like the big talking point with the Clippers is that, and listen, I'm starting to speaking of the coaching staff,
you have a third eye theory.
I have a third eye theory, and shout out to the guys at Le Batard, Mike Ryan and Tom Haberstroh and Amin. I was listening to their post and Stu Gatz, of course. I was listening to their NBA trade deadline special, and they were mentioning the fact that the Heat kept their powder dry. They didn't go after Lowry, et cetera, that and that the free agency is really the best way for them to get another star because they've given up so much draft capital over the past couple of years to get Dragic and all these other things that Kawhi Leonard could potentially be a target for them because he did not sign an extension at the same time that Paul George did. He does have a player option for next year, and the Heat are and as they rightfully pointed out, who was the first person that Kawhi Leonard called when he wanted to team up with somebody on anywhere before he called Paul George. He called Jimmy Butler. And the reason I bring up the coaching staff for the Clippers is that Dan Craig, longtime Miami Heat assistant, is an assistant with the Clippers now. And one of the things
the story is he took that job because he thinks that because he's interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs, and he thinks that coaching the Clippers is going to lead to an easier path for him to get a head coaching job eventually. That's the story.
That's the story. But what do we know about what the Heat do? Is like they move in the shadows and they do things and they have people in places that you don't expect them to have people or expect them to be making moves. The number one example of this is Jimmy Butler in Chicago with Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade telling him every day about, well, you know, if you don't like how they're doing it here, this is how they do it in Miami.
The number one actual example of this, that's the number two example. The number one example is 2010 when Dwayne took a second meeting with the Bulls, basically just to gather intel to give to the Heat because they were all going to go to Miami anyway.
That's another example. That's another classic example. It's like, and there's the Beno Udrih training camp contract where he, you know, basically gave up like $80,000 or something like that so that the Heat wouldn't have to pay a luxury tax. And then he gets invited to training camp next season just to get cut. And he gets like literally like no one, but everyone's assuming like he was made whole by that training camp contract. And it's like, because it wasn't going to affect the luxury tax. And like, this is the type of shit that the Heat do. I mean, Zach Lowe reported on this when they did the Dragic trade, that they like negotiated a contract extension with Dragic before the trade even happened, which is
they did that last year with Iguodala. And they were going to do that with Gallinari, except they didn't end up doing that trade.
Right. It's like they do that all the time. And it's like, so it would not be the fucking strangest thing in the world that they let their longtime assistant coach go to the Clippers to tamper with Kawhi.
To be a double agent.
Yeah. Like, that would not be the craziest thing. And it's like, the Clippers it would
be pretty funny if Kawhi left the Clippers, I have to say.
I mean, dude, I don't know.
A lot of people would hate to see it.
I mean, I know that the story is, and I believe it, that the story is that he worked really hard to orchestrate the scenario where he could play in Southern California. I wonder if it is becoming a little less fun, the idea of living at home. Like, and being close to where you wanted to live. Like,
I know the struggle.
Yeah, we all do.
We all know the struggle.
We all know the struggle. We all know the struggle of like, or anybody does, like, of like having this ideal of like where you want to go and it just not being exactly what you thought. Like, the grass is
there's a lot
greener.
of things that we can, well, especially with the going home thing, there are a lot of things that we can criticize Kevin Durant for in terms of decisions that he's made over his career. But one thing that we give him credit for is there was the whole KD to DC movement and speculation that the Wizards might have a chance at getting him because he's from the DC area. He was never trying to do that because he was like, I don't want to go home. Why would I do that? And I think that ended up being the move.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, totally for his career. Like, I mean, he made all the right decisions. I mean, there's nothing you can argue with that about KD. I mean, it's like, but yeah, it's just not that, it's not always that attractive. And it's not always fun to go home. And so I don't, you know, it's a really, really interesting topic about Kawhi because it is.
We'll just file that one away.
Right. Because Paul George signed an extension. Like, that's all we have. That he signed an extension, and Paul George and Kawhi, when eligible to do so, did not. And that
was Kawhi eligible because it was only a year after he signed his free agent contract. I thought you had to wait 2 years.
Well, I think
I feel like Kawhi wasn't eligible.
He's not eligible?
No, I think
he can though.
I don't think that's accurate, but I do think it's notable that he only signed a 2-year deal with the third-year opt-out in the first place instead of signing a longer deal.
Yeah, I guess the more important point is that he is a player. He is a potential free agent, and the Clippers don't look any closer to a title, and in fact, look further away from a title than they did when they both first signed, because they have lost draft assets They have lost draft picks. They lost a star play or young star in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, I mean, that was before they got Paul George, but like, you add all those things up, they're missing a lot of pieces, and it's like they don't have a lot of avenues to get better.
They paid Marcus Morris a ton of money.
Yeah, they basically used up all their cap space to sign Marcus Morris also.
And they paid Luke Kennard a huge extension. I know he's been better lately, but like you're still paying $16 million a year each for Marcus Morris and Luke Kennard.
Yeah, that's one max guy. You're basically paying one max guy one max guy's worth of salary to Kennard and Markieff Morris or Marcus Morris. And like, I don't think that is like a championship strategy. Like, I just don't. So that is just the problem where they find themselves. Like, I mean, I like Zubac. He's good. I thought he played Jokic really well tonight, and I think was part of the reason why Jokic did not have that good of a game by Jokic standards. 4 turnovers, 6 or 16 from the field, but he had 7 rebounds, 7 assists, still did all the Jokic things. But like, they just, I don't know. They just don't have like it. And like, maybe Rondo is what they need, and maybe that's it. But like, they just lack that something special. And maybe it is Rondo. I mean,
we're both believers.
We are both believers, and it would be fun for him to do this with the Clippers, just to be like, okay, like, are we gonna believe it now? Like, he's got to do the Lakers, Clippers. Like, whatever you say, like, because there's the Clippers curse out there, of course. I mean, that just because he's done it with the Lakers and the Celtics and the Pelicans, which it's not like the Pelicans are the fucking greatest franchise ever, but
speaking of the Pelicans,
what?
One of a former Pelicans shooting guard, who was recently traded to the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, yes.
Has an audio program that he hosts with his own company called The Old Man of the Three. And he had some things to say. It was interesting.
Yeah, JJ Redick. Basically, he had some interesting things.
It was another both sides look bad type of thing.
It was very much, it was the NBA and NBA. It was the NBA player and NBA executive version of the Rapaport KD. Yes, exactly. Like, both of the people look like total dickheads. Like, Griff looks like a total liar who just lied to JJ Redick's face. And then Redick also seems like a really entitled player who thinks that he's a way bigger deal at this stage in his career.
JJ Redick is not good enough to have a preferred wish list of teams that he's like holding them to.
No. And like, I know that they like the every NBA team likes to portray the facade that they will do anything that their players want, that they will always put the player first, and they will always care about what the player wants before anything else, because they want to sell themselves to those agents and future free agents that they're a player first organization. We know that that's not fucking true. It's a business, and these guys are under contract and can be traded and moved. And JJ Redick was upset that he was treated just like an employee, which is what he is. And it's like, and especially, and he's not like an especially special employee. He's not Zion. He's not even Lonzo. Like, it's just like, come on.
I will say David Griffin shouldn't have told him he was going to do that, because he clearly wasn't. And I mean,
no, he should not have told him
that was a mistake on Griffin's part.
And again,
I will say one thing I thought was, somebody pointed this out to me that I thought was interesting. And this could be interesting moving forward for the, like, I don't think this is going to like ruin their franchise. Like JJ was talking about how, I don't think my agent's ever going to trust them again. You know who his agent does have, though?
Who?
Josh Hart, who is up for a new contract this offseason. And he's like actually an important part of this Pelicans core.
True. That is
interesting.
That is definitely an interesting wrinkle to this, is the Josh Hart free agency, which I did not know about. It also is a little bit of I guess like, because one of the things that one of the bits of PR that was put out there about the new Pelicans front office when they were forming was that they hired Trajan Langdon, and then they brought in JJ Redick, and it was going to be all Duke guys, and they just stabbed a Dookie in the back. It's just like so much for the Duke loyalty. It's just classic Pelicans PR or classic NBA front office bullshit. Like,
honestly, JJ shouldn't have been as mad about going to Dallas as he was, because like now you get to have Mark Cuban on your podcast to talk about how great NFTs are, and that podcast is going to do numbers if you want to play the long game and grow your business.
Yeah, no. And
my other theory about this is that David Griffin, and I don't know David Griffin's political leanings, but maybe David Griffin is somebody who sees through the whole Andrew Yang thing.
Oh, yeah.
And JJ Redick really wanted to go back to Brooklyn. And coincidentally, Andrew Yang is running for mayor, and JJ Redick has tweeted a bunch of like Yang Gang stuff recently.
I have seen that JJ Redick is Yang Gang. Yeah, no, he's really sad that he couldn't be there and vibe with the Yang Gang and the Vibes Council. I mean, he clearly was trying to go to the Vibes Council. I saw a funny tweet though that replied.
That would have been a terrible addition to the Vibes.
Oh yeah,
Council.
I saw a hilarious tweet though to JJ Redick that was like, haven't you and your wife ruined enough schools in New York City? Which for those of you who don't know, there's a great New Yorker article. I don't remember the title of the article, but just Google New Yorker JJ Redick's wife, and you will find the juiciest, lengthy, like cut out like 45 minutes of your day and read this New Yorker article about how JJ Redick and his wife are like these like, power players in like the PTA world in Brooklyn.
It's kind of like how Pat Connaughton is like a real estate baron in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever seen the HBO show, Big Little Lies?
I have not.
With Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman and Zoe Kravitz.
I haven't seen. I mean, if it's got Zoe Kravitz in it, I know you're about that.
Well, we're all of course. Zoe.
I mean, I'm about it too, but I know you're like extra.
Of course, we're all, of course about the Zoe Kravitz. But no. Anyway, so that show is really all about the drama surrounding like all these moms and the drama that they create around or like the drama that they kind of create around their children, or that like they freak out about things going on between their children. And it's like, that's kind of the vibe of this New Yorker article, is that like it's Big Little Lies Brooklyn featuring the Redick family.
Is that show good? Should I watch it?
Oh, dude, it kicks ass. You should definitely watch it.
Oh, I will add that to the list.
Yeah, Big Little Lies rules.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good to know.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see. I don't know if I have anything else left to say.
I got my money out of Top Shot finally.
Oh, you got it all out? You actually got it out?
I put in the request to get it.
Hell yeah! Well, dude, congratulations, dude. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're actually gonna taste that sweet.
I'm gonna actually cash out. I'm gonna I got more. I don't want to say exactly how much money I got out of it, but I'm getting more money out of Top Shot than the last 2 stimulus checks put together.
Wow, good for you. That's really good. So obviously
paid for almost half.
Do
of my
you
LASIK.
think that you got the ability to? Do you think you got the ability to withdraw money because you called them out on Twitter, or because you reached a certain point where you reached a like threshold?
Well, my understanding is that they've been hiring new staff just to approve withdrawal requests, and something like 28,000 of their 300,000 people now have withdrawal abilities, and they're like going through them as fast as they can and trying to weed out the bots. And it just all goes back to the thing that I wrote about in the story, that they weren't trying to get big this fast. They were trying to grow it slowly, but then the fantasy football guy, wrote that article about it and kind of blew up their spot, and now everybody's doing it, and they just weren't really like ready to handle it. That's my understanding. That is how that happened. I don't know if the fact that I've wrote an article about them and then have also been tweeting about how nobody can get their money out contributed to me getting it, but I mean, whatever. The money is in the process of being transferred into my bank account. So
hey, congratulations, dude! You did that, man. But dude, yeah, I'm still.
I still have that pack coming to me though, the pre-order pack. So maybe like I'll get lucky and like I'll get like a LaMelo in that pack, and I can like make another $2,000 and cash out again.
Yeah, dude, hey, that would be the goal. I mean, I
got a pack today that was garbage. It was like Terrence Ross, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Bam out of bio. But the Bam was like the 35,000 one that was like a low ask of $8. I sold them all immediately and got like $18 out of it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I bought a bunch of those today for like, we're doing Top Shot Corner right now. Because the reason I bought a bunch of those is because they have challenges a lot of times, or not challenges. They will have pack drops,
right,
where you're required to have a certain amount of moments, and then moments go from, you know, the last time I can remember, moments were like $7 or $6, and then all of a sudden in the day or something leading up to a drop where you're required to have a certain amount of moments, the price of moments is then like it's $20 for your cheapest moment,
right?
And it's like, so it's like you can easily make like, you know, 4 times your money just buying these cheap ass moments and then waiting for when they announce a pack drop or whatever. So I mean, it's all very stupid. It's all fake.
It's not all fake because I literally am actually getting my money.
You're actually getting it. I'm still playing with the fake money. So that's how I'm approaching it. But I'm doing a new approach to Top Shot instead of just getting the packs.
You're day trading.
I was doing some day trading today with some pennies, and then I bought an Anthony Edwards today. It was a 35,000, but I bought one because as long as there have been sports collectibles, there is one truth, and that one truth is that rookie cards are always more valuable than any other card. And so,
how much did you sell your James Wiseman for?
53.
It's not bad.
No,
for 35,000,
and it's James Wiseman.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not that good. Like, and I think Ant has a chance to be great. Like I mean, he's not going to win Roy. Like LaMelo already has that locked up, even though he's missing a month. But like, and the Timberwolves are so bad that there's no way that they're going to be good enough for him to get considered. But like, he is putting up some crazy numbers and definitely has, you know, a following. And I could see a scenario in which Rosas and the Wolves are like, we just gotta cut bait. We gotta trade Towns, trade Russell, and just roll with the Ant-Man and make it the Ant show. And just like try to build a team around Ant instead of
Towns just needs a change of scenery so bad.
It's so fraught. It's too much. It's too much for him. Yeah, you're right. It's like he's been through way too much there. This last year has been way too much for him. Way too much for anybody. Like the whole D'Lo thing, like, is not working. Like, and it's like he's been hurt, and that's the big part of it. But it's like
he's also just not that good.
He's just also not that good. Yeah, he had one All-Star season with the Nets. And it's like,
and there was like an injury replacement All-Star.
Yeah, it was like it was like a fourth injury. Like there were like 3 guys that got hurt, and then D'Lo got in, and it was like, and they made the playoffs that year. The Nets did, and he was their leading scorer. So like, I get why D'Lo, like, he made it that year, but like, yeah, he's also just not that good. Is the other part of the problem? Is that like, yes, he's Karl Anthony Towns' like really good friend, but he's also not that good. And he got the bag. Shout out to the Warriors for giving him a massive contract that he would not have gotten from anybody else. And
they also like, they gave up that pick to get off of Wiggins' deal.
Yeah, but
the Wolves did. Now they're going to have to.
Yeah, they don't have that pick anymore. Is that this year's pick?
I believe it's top 3 protected.
Okay, so they might get that pick again this year because they've been that bad. But I would honestly, like, Ant seems like a guy that could take the usage and is built for, like, you know, being the number 1 guy on a team. And like, it's never like, I know Towns has definitely helped them, and it's like you never want to just trade a good player just to trade him.
Right.
And maybe there and hopefully there's a trade out there that's like something that they could get back that could help Ant and that could work really well with Ant. But I don't know, man. I feel like it's time for them to move on from the Towns era. Like, it's been too much losing. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think it's...
The vibes are bad.
They're bad vibes. They're very bad vibes. And I think... But anyway, I guess that's another reason why I got the Ant top shot. It's just because I think if they trade Towns and they move on, like, he has a chance to really become like a superstar, he has a chance to become an all-star caliber player. Like, if they really move on from that era and give him the keys, you know what I mean? Which I get that they might be a little resistant to, but at the same time, like, we watch him play, we've watched him play now, like, without D'Lo and without Malik Beasley for a while now. And it's like, he's really, really good. Like, I don't give a damn about his efficiency. Like, this season, like, you just see, or like, everyone getting on his 3-point percentage. Like, I don't give a shit, man. Like, he's fun to watch, and the shot looks good. Like, it looks like it will go in at some point. Like, it's just like, I don't think his jumper is as bad as a lot of people think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be good. I mean, if you're going to actually buy a top shot on the market, which I still will not do, but if you're going to, you could definitely pick worse people to do that with. Yeah.
No, I know. I know that you've never bought a top. It's not what you do. You've only done it when you've had to. But I decided to take the plunge today on that. Just because
I respect it. Like, I mean, you're more in on the gambling stuff than I am, and so this is just kind of an extension of that.
Yeah,
so.
this is basically exactly. This is just another form of gambling. I also got a Dame today because I wanted to get a Dame. And there
Which one did you get?
I got the Chicago shot, the fadeaway, the 35.
How much was that?
$22.
It's not bad.
No, especially for, like, it's another one of those bets. If by chance he wins MVP, which there is, like, I know that Jokic is the favorite, and they got a road win tonight. Aaron Gordon is looking great, and all the momentum is going toward Jokic. Like, that I feel like that I would be lying if I was saying anything else. But there's still a lot of games left. I mean, there's the Blazers have played 47 games. There's 73 on the schedule. Like, there's 26 games left. That's a lot of time for the MVP debate to be settled. So I do think that Dame and Jokic, I think, are the two guys right now. Like, I know, and
Embiid is coming back this weekend. Do you think he has enough time to get back in the mix?
Yes, he definitely does. I mean, he only missed 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I think it's easier for him to get back into the mix than it is for LeBron to get back into the mix.
Oh, I think LeBron's done.
And I think Giannis is getting a lot of momentum lately. And it's like,
I don't think that's going to happen.
No. Like I respect the people that are like, well, he's getting better, and like, well, yes, he might be, and he probably is, because that's what usually happens with superstar players is they get better every year. It's not a fucking, like, he doesn't deserve a trophy for getting better every year. Like, I'm sorry. Yes, he got better, but like, and
I'm going to see Giannis tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes, yeah, Giannis is going to be tight. He does look like he's more comfortable, and I have the Bucks. I would say I have it on the vision board.
Okay.
The Bucks beating the Nets in the postseason would be pretty.
Oh, that'd be so powerful.
Would be pretty choice stuff. It would be like that would be chef's kiss. I am feeling that is in the air. I'm just putting that out there. Like,
are we officially putting that as part of the agenda, or are we kind of waiting on that?
I'm waiting on that, but I'm toying, like, because there is something about Giannis, like, lately, like, especially some of these clutch games, like even the game that they had against the Nets, and I think KD played in that game. Giannis just looks way more comfortable in those situations, and like the Nets are still mad soft in the middle, and like, if anybody's going to beat them, I think Giannis and Embiid both, but like, I just think Giannis is just going to, like, he's got more dog in him than Embiid does. And like, I think it would be like, I think Bucks over Nets is percolating in the agenda.
would Pat Connaughton then have the ultimate white boy summer? Just to bring this full circle.
Oh God, and Dante DiVincenzo also would be part of White Boy Summer. Wow,
I think Dante DiVincenzo is like, besides Tyler Hero, is like the most powerful white boy summer energy in the Chet Hanks sense.
Very much so. In the Jack Harlow sense, and also guys like Chet Hanks. Chet Hanks, who put himself in the same category as Jack Harlow, which is classic. Shout out to Assville for talking about the Chet Hanks stuff. But no, yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's probably the good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, it would be. It would be a Cream City summer if that would happen.
Yeah, I think that some people who we've also talked about on this pod might have some things to say about that phrasing.
Yes.
Some people might, some players on the Nets might say no homo or pause to that.
Yes.
Perhaps even in Michael Rapaport's DMs.
Perhaps they might. But I think it's a good place to wrap it up. But yeah, we didn't even talk about them, but shout out to the Celtics families. I'm just going to say that.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Yeah, shout out to their families. We'll be back at some point with a Patreon episode. Thanks for listening.